Hello, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm hoping that you're all doing fine. So, before getting started and getting our hands dirty with lines of code, I would like to introduce myself first, talk a little bit about the content of this video, and really what to expect from this channel since this is my first ever video on my first ever YouTube channel. And the main goal of this channel is to share with you guys some of what I've learned in programming and try to make it easy really to understand, maybe to approach, because it is well known that people are afraid of taking on the journey of becoming software engineers because there is that stigma of of people keep on saying that coding is hard and programming is difficult, you need to know math and stuff like that. In fact, I used to think that way too, and because I really struggled to grasp the whole idea of writing dozens line of code just to see something pop up and show up in the screen, and failed to understand some of the major key programming concepts in the beginning. Yeah, so as the title of this video states, in this video we will talk about this catastrophic pandemic that is affecting our planet. Yeah, I won't go into deep explanation because this is not the goal here, but rather I want us to take some few well-known facts about this virus and try to put them in some few lines of code. So, what do we know so far about this COVID-19 virus? The first thing we know is that COVID-19 is a virus, more specifically, one of the many coronaviruses out there. We also know that it is transmitted through emission of fluid from a sick person. We also know that once infected by the virus, a person starts to show symptoms after a few days, like loss of taste, loss of smelling sense, and the list goes on. And the last thing for this short-listed information, we also know that it can be cured. That's the good thing also we know about the virus. So the goal for this video is to put these few informations we know about this virus into lines of code using the Python programming language. And after that, we will rewrite the same logic using JavaScript programming language. And I specifically chose these two programming language because they are the most approachable and they are the most popular programming language out there. And really, they are very easy. Well, I will start by creating a coronavirus base class, and all the coronaviruses will inherit from this class. So let's create a coronavirus base class, and define upon initiation what it's supposed to do. Here we will give the name. So and then let's create other viruses class which will inherit from this base class. We'll create three classes, mainly the SARS-CoV class, the MERS-CoV class, and the COVID-19 class. They are both coronaviruses. So let's create SARS-CoV, and upon initiation, it should give the name, and it should I forgot to state that it's supposed to inherit from the coronavirus's base class, and upon initiation it should call the parent class by using this init and giving the name. This This will be called the severe acute respiratory syndrome. And the next class will be the MERS COVID, which also will extend from the base class. And same here, upon initiation, we'll call the save and state the name and call the parent class with upon initiation, set the name, the Middle East respiratory syndrome. And our last class, it is the COVID-19 class, and this will also inherit coronavirus base class. Have I missed something? Okay, coronavirus base class, and the same thing here. Upon initiation will have a name here, and this will be called coronavirus 2019, let's say that. Okay, so mainly these are the three classes which represent each of them one type of coronavirus. But here we will work with the COVID-19 class because this is what we are talking about, COVID-19. So these other two, we'll just leave it like that. So the other function here, the COVID-19 will have is the function which will bear in the logic of transmission of the virus from one person to another. So let's create a class called transmission. And as a parameter, beside this self parameter, we will give here an infected person, a sick person, and here a not yet infected person. And the last parameter here will be the social distance between the two of them. So let's just call it social distance. And for now, let's just return nothing. Let's just use this keyword, which will help us just to not run into errors. Just leave it like that. So we say that the transmission of the virus happens from one person to another through when that person sneeze. Most likely it's when he's sneezing, is coughing, or just speaking. You see, so we'll create a list of actions a person can do which may lead to a transmission of the virus. So let's create action list here. Action list which will say that consists of coughing, sneezing, let's say also speaking. It may lead to transmission of the virus, and singing maybe. I think that's good enough. Also, I want to create an enumeration enum which will represent some of the symptoms a person can show after contracting the virus. So to use the enum is, I may be come back to it later, but enum is kind of a list, but it has some more structure into it. So let's just import enum from enum, and then here we will create a class. This is how you create, strangely, this is how you create enums in Python. I'm used to other languages, so this seems to me a bit strange. So what are the normal symptoms can a person show or display after contracting the virus? So sorry, I misspelled them. I wrote it in French. Symptoms. We will define here some of the normal symptoms a person can display. So let's say a sore throat. Sore throat might also be a kind of symptoms. Running nose, and I decided to define this because I'll be creating a function which will display what is the current symptom for the person. That's why you see like I'm defining this that way. Fever, fatigue, and fatigue. So this was kind of a normal symptoms, some of the normal symptoms. Let's list also some of the maybe alarming symptoms. Once you start to display this kind of symptoms, it's better to go and go and get some assistance at the hospital or something like that. Okay, so let's define an alarming symptoms. Which is enum class also. What we have as which some of symptoms which may be alarming. In this list we can state like loss of taste is an alarming symptom. Yeah. Lost my tastes. Lost of smell. Lost my sense of smell. Severe fever also. Severe fever. I have severe fever. So here both of them will have a function which will call the value of the symptoms. That's why I created a bit like this. And some of them is kind of like some meaningful words, and these words will be used by this function. Describe himself and days. We just print something into the screen. Console, just run that for the last days. I have only experience. I don't know if that would make sense, but just bear with me. Okay, by accessing the value, we will access this value here. We declare here. and we will just copy this function and put it here also. Be aware of the indentation in Python. This indentation really matters, otherwise you run into runtime errors. You just change here the sentence. Here we just say among other among other symptoms, I also dot. Okay, so after declaring this list of action which can be performed by the person, and the list of symptoms which can be seen to a person who is affected by who has been affected by the virus. Let's just start to create a person class, which will make this all what we have declared here, which will make it into use. Okay, so now it's time to create a person class. Let's say a person, and what this person will do first, it will a person must have an action, must perform an action. For now, let's just initiate it as an empty string, and upon initiation, they just define the init function. Upon initiation, we must provide a name. This person must have a name also, maybe the age, health status. Is he wearing a mask? Wearing mask. Yeah, I think that's good enough. And after declaring, they just set them to this class as name self dot health status health. I forgot to add here. Sorry. Forgot to add also here. Self dot wearing mask. Just wearing mask, and self dot my action here. We will choose one of the action which can be performed by the person. We'll choose one among this list. So what we'll do will be using this helper function. Let's say the rand class. Let's import the brand random utility class, I guess. Here we will say that what we want to do here is we want to choose among those list of action one which a person can perform. So here we'll just access, it is a list, so we just access the action lists, and just to randomize random dot range, and we choose from 0 to whatever the length of the actions plus 1. Yeah, because we're starting at the index of 0, so we need to add the plus 1 so that to have to access the whole list here. So another function that the person can perform is treatment. Let's just call it the person can be treated. And treatment here involve giving the person instance. Let's say is severe. Let's just declare is severe. Let's just declare it into none. Okay. If severe, if severe is not none, from this person who has, so this will handle the case where the person has some severe symptoms. So we will just advise that person to go to the hospital. And another case is whereby the person doesn't show any severe or alarming symptom. So we'll just advise this to just have some rest. Please do have some rest and some basic, some basic home treatment. Okay. So another action that can be performed by a person is to test for COVID, to check if this person is sick or not. So if it is positive, we'll access his health status. So here we state that this person name has tested and access his health status. Okay. Okay, the list goes on. Another action. Sadly, a person can be infected. Yeah. Can infect or can be infected by someone else. So here we'll give a person person and print. Let me just print his health status before has been infected. Person. This will be an instance of this person class. Health status. Health status. If person dot health status equals to negative. What we'll do in this case, we'll say that because since you cannot be infected twice, once you have tested positive for coronavirus, you cannot be infected again. So unless you are treated, and then in some cases people who have cured from COVID-19 get sick again. But in this case is just we are evaluating the case whereby this person he was not yet infected by the virus. So if this person was not yet infected by the virus, so we'll just print on the screen. Sadly, you have been infected by the virus. And here we will call a function which I'm yet to define. Infected. So another function or action that a person can perform, we'll create a function named symptoms, so that this function here will help us to to display the symptoms that this person is currently having. So first we'll check for the health status, and if the health the health status is positive, and we will check also if this person has the window period is between 0 to 7 days. For in this case, this person will probably most likely show some normal symptoms which are not very severe. So what we'll do here, we'll access all the symptoms that we created here, all the normal symptoms that we created here, and we will try to access one of them and set it to my current symptom, the current symptom of this person. And after that, we'll call this function, we'll call the describe function, which will have a helper message here that is to show some meaningful messages into the console. So, and then we can just say that this person can seek for treatments. And in another case is whereby since the window period is over 7 days, which here and most likely the person will display some severe will have some severe symptoms. What we'll do the same. We'll access the alarming symptoms, and actually I can just copy it from here, and then after accessing this function here, we'll just say my symptoms don't describe, and the days after contracting the virus, and also this person can seek for treatment. Basically what we did here is a small list of action that can be performed by a person instance. So I think that's about it. The Our small program is done, I guess. What we'll do here is test if it does work as expected. For testing, so we just initiate the COVID-19 here, and then we will create person. Let's say a sick person here, which will be an instance of the person. And this person, we see that by creating the person instance, we need to provide the name, the age, health status, and if or not he's wearing a mask. Oh, okay. So that's the name, person 1, age 50, health status positive, and is he wearing a mask? No. Okay, so let's create another not yet sick person, person 2, age, let's say 35, health status negative, and is he wearing a mask? No. The last thing here is to is to use this function here, which sadly I forgot to finish. What this function will do, this function will receive the infected person as a parameter, the not yet infected person as a parameter, and the distance between the two. Here, what we'll do is to check if the distance, if the social distance is less than 2 meters, and the infected person is not wearing a mask. Wearing mask. Let me just double check if I okay, let me just copy so to play itself here. Wearing a mask, and then let's just say if this person wearing a mask is false. So if these two equations are true, which in this case, this infected person will infect the not yet infected person, and this infect function here is the one we defined here. So okay, and the other case is where maybe the person who is sick is wearing a mask, or the distance between the two is greater than 2 meters. What we'll do here, just print that social distancing is good, and or wearing mask is a good thing too, because if these two are false, so that means that this infected person cannot contaminate the other person. So let's just test our program here by calling the virus, which is an instance of the COVID-19 class, and then call the transmission function and give the, as you see here, we'll first give the infected person instance, and the second parameter will be the not yet infected person and the distance between the two. So the sick person and not yet infected person, and the distance between the two, let's say it's 1 meter. So I'm done here. Okay, so and then let's see what is the health status of this person, and again we will see we'll want to see what is the symptoms that is shown by this person after, maybe let's say after 10 days, let's say after 10 days. So let's try and run this program and see what is the output. Okay, I have an error here. I guess something is wrong. Let me try to rerun this. I realized that I have an error here. I wasn't supposed to give here a name, so I just delete it. And here also, because I set the name by default here, so I don't need to accept anything upon insertion. And so I guess now the program is supposed to work fine. Let me clear the console first, and try to rerun the program. Oh, same error. So I've realized that upon creating this base class, I forgot to just to set the current name here. So and I want to leave this type of this debugging part because it's very important as a beginner to to know when something is wrong and try to see how you can solve it. I didn't want to, and I want to cut it off just to hide you from this type of bugs, but it's things that happens. This thing really happen, so yeah, there's no need to shy away from getting bugs when while running the program. So let's just test the program another once again. Okay, another problem. Let's see this. Track fine, negative. Okay, what does it say? The person is not attribute health status. Okay, what did I call here? Let's see this person. Oh, health. I think I misspelled something here. Okay. Let me just confirm here. YouTube. Oh, okay. I forgot a T here. Yeah, this thing happened. So one more time. Hopefully this time the program will run. And yeah, we do have our program here. It stated that yeah, so you can see that among other this is case when the window period is above 7 days, but we can also change here to say like three days, which will be checked here. This will no longer go into the alarming symptoms. It will go through. It will go through the normal symptoms here. So if I try to run this program again, we'll say that person 2 has tested positive. For the last 3 days, I have only experienced fever. So this is the message we are trying to describe here. This is this message here. We have reached the end of this first video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And sorry for the few mistakes I made here and there. So go easy on me in the comment section. I will put the link to the GitHub repository for this tutorial, and you will find it in the description section. Do subscribe to the channel, share these links with your friend, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. So